Hello ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about the lunge de lateral, or the lateral lunge. I just made up the other thing. So we are going to look at how it often goes wrong and then talk a little bit about why it goes wrong. So the tricky part about the lateral lunge is it's a sagittal plane leg movement while the body's moving in the frontal plane. So here's how it should look, where I take that step, load back into the hip, and then extend up nice and tall. Here's how it looks often. Now you see the big difference there was the foot and the knee. So when people go wrong in this lateral lunge, what we start to do is as we land there, you can see right there I have that big turn out of the foot. So I'm turning the foot out away from the body. Now as I continue and land into that heel, you can see where the knee starts to track and it drives out. So it's always going to stay, for the most part, in relationship to where the toe is pointing. And then I start to get that big bend on the outside. So this starts to create a little bit of rotational force in the knee. It can be uncomfortable. We're not loading into the hip as much and a lot of things. Whereas what we really want to do is, if we go back to, too far. If we go back to that first example, is when I land, I should try to be able to keep that toe pointing forward, and then that is going to allow everything to track nice and tight in the sagittal plane. So it really is just a single leg squat. It's the hip is driving back and the knee isn't staying in line between the ankle and the hip. Making sure that the toe is pointing forward is a great way to help do that, and it's all going to start with foot contact. So you see as I'm coming down, you notice right there I'm in dorsiflexion, so the toe is up towards the shin. That is super, super important because that's a really stable position for the ankle. And if the ankle's stable, the body has confidence in it. So from there, when I land, I'm trying to land inside the heel first. You can see right there, it's a little tough, but I'm looking at trying to land right on the inside of the heel. From there, I'm going to anchor down my big toe. And now when I go into lateral movement, there is going to be a little bit of weight shift. If I land on the inside of my foot, the weight is going to shift outward, and that's okay. But if I land on the outside of my foot, there's nowhere for that shift to go. So that's why it's so important to go inside the heel and then anchor down to that big toe. Now that foot is planted, the ankle is stable, and the body can successfully load into the hip. So when we see it go the way we don't want it to go, when I start to turn out here, now if someone doesn't have good stability in the ankles, if they're not super comfortable in dorsiflexion, then that means that they're going to be not comfortable within lateral flexion. So if the ankle's not stable, it's not going to feel comfortable moving side to side. So in order to increase the base of support, because remember all the force and momentum is going this way, so what does the body naturally do to increase that base of support? Well, it simply just turns the toe out. So now, instead of that base of support being very narrow, pointing this way, that base of support has increased because that foot has turned out. But unfortunately, the knee comes with it, and then we don't successfully get to load into the hip. Now, what you'll see a lot of people do, and I didn't do a very good job of here, is they'll actually kind of point and search with the toe. So even worse will be in plantar flexion, touch the toe and then roll down into the heel. So it's a very, very unstable position for the ankle. So I think the key to this exercise is promoting good dorsiflexion and good foot contact. Once we got that, then we're going to load just a single leg squat in the sagittal plane, and everything else should be good to go.